Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock. Can you all hear me in the back okay? Up or down? You all good? Okay. All right. Crank her up just a little bit more, please, Dana. Yeah. How about now? Is that better? All right, great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rob Bizzle, Chairman of the North Carolina Marine Fisheries Commission. All right, we good now? Hearing me once is all we need, I think. Maybe too much. Okay. Yeah. All right, we're ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rob Bizzle, Chairman of the North Carolina Marine Fisheries Commission, and would like to welcome you to our public comment session, where you have a unique opportunity to, on the record, give comments or ask questions in regards to the Marine Fisheries Commission's management of the state's public trust and estuarine and marine resources. I ask you to limit your comments and questions to 3 minutes. Hope will remind you when you have approximately 30 seconds left and then call time at the end of 3 minutes. Please direct any comments and questions to me, and I will refer them to the appropriate commissioner or staff member if needed. If you address the commission tonight, you will not be allowed to do so tomorrow. Remember, this is a time to share a concern or gather information, not to be confrontational. I will not allow our conducting the business of our state to be disrupted by outbursts or applause from the audience. If you do so, you will be escorted from the meeting and not allowed to return during this quarterly meeting. Consider this the one and only warning against this type of behavior. And as you all know, we have the governor's mandate for masks in effect. This is a governor's commission, and we ask that you all abide by this mandate. When you talk, you may pull your mask down, but please, other times, wear your mask. It's not just for you, it's for the person sitting next to you. I've had the shots, I've had COVID, none of it's fun. So please be courteous. So I'm going to call on my list, and I'll tell you who the next one will be. And your time will start when you utter your first word. So first up is Cheryl Yachts, followed by Robert Overby. Cheryl? Is Cheryl here? Okay, we will come back to Cheryl if she shows up later. Robert Overby? Robert, are you here? All right, moving on down. Phyllis Anderson. Okay. Casey Gardner. Donna Obermiller. Okay. Doug just made a good suggestion. That's your first one, I believe, isn't it? That's the one. I'm going to go with this first. What I'm going to do. Okay. All right. So I'll go with those that I know that are here. First off, I've got Patricia Clark, followed by Alan Faircloth. So, Patricia.
Hi, my name is Patrice Clark. My family operates a seafood business on Far Creek in Eaglehart.
Press your button right on your stand right there. Did it? Okay. Try it again.
Hi, my name is Patrice Clark. My family operates a seafood business on Far Creek in Eaglehart. I want to thank the Commission for this opportunity to express my concerns regarding shrimp trawling.
Can we turn up again?
Okay. I want to thank the Commission for this opportunity to express my concerns regarding shrimp trawling. I trust we can all agree that the marine resources of the state of North Carolina are to be managed for the maximum sustainable yields for all the citizens of North Carolina. I oppose the stopping of shrimp trawling for 4 reasons. Reason number 1, North Carolina Marine Fisheries Division is to be credited with having pioneered the very first shrimp tagging program. Other shrimp producing states have modeled that database. That database allows you to determine where and when to harvest to bring the highest economic return. Primary and secondary nursery areas were identified and predicted. Reason number 2, why sabotage the huge investment made in the past and present by the Division of Marine Fisheries? Why sabotage the efforts of the Department of Agriculture and their Goodness Grows in North Carolina program? Reason number 3, the consumers that seek locally wild-caught shrimp at North Carolina restaurants and the consumers that buy local from seafood retail shops throughout the state are in all likelihood a larger group than the commercial and recreational fishing user groups combined. The 4th reason is the closest to my heart, the economic impact to commercial fishermen and more specifically, my community. The loss of revenue would force the closing of 3 fish houses and kill the livelihood of many fishermen. We are already an economically challenged county. This is just one community I'm talking about. In closing, I would just say decisions should be made with a strong focus on the data. Ongoing state investments will be highly impacted by this decision. Please consider our seafood businesses and our commercial fishermen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Alan Faircloth, followed by, please don't get me started. Alan Faircloth, followed by Thomas Wiggins.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Alan Faircloth, and I'm from Surf City. I have a standard commercial fishing license, and I started in 2008. And I learned pretty quickly that I had to learn how to communicate with some of my co-shrimpers because if you pull on a slack tide, you're going to catch a bunch of fish. And I would be out there trying to pull, and they would be sitting still. In any case, since 2008, I've seen 2 slack years. One of those was the year following North Topsail calling themselves realigning the inlet. I don't know if they destroyed the eggs as they were laid and didn't let them get back in. But anyway, the following year, we didn't have hardly any shrimp. The second time was in 21 here. You guys opened the water, preferred water, in 2020. You opened it on 9/9. And this year, after much begging, you opened it 9/19. You said there was no shrimp, small shrimp, etc. The coast or shrimper that was using channel net right down from us said he had been catching 10 to 15 boxes a night of 30 or 25 to 35 count. I don't know what happened. In any case, we are requesting that the water be opened by 9/1/22 and each year following that same date or close to that. Someone put together 1,000 to 2,000 jobs would be affected. I don't know who did that, but every shrimper has consumers, fish houses, fuel, all kinds of suppliers that's depending on them. So I don't know where you're coming from with that 1,000 to 2,000 jobs going to be affected, but you're way wrong. Trip tickets. I wanted to spend just a minute there. You take our trip tickets and you
30 seconds.
Take our trip tickets and you beat us over the head with them. I made a pool 7/6/21, and the tail bag had several or a lot of fish in it. I might have had a shrimp or 2, but I did not put it on the boat, untied it, and dumped it. My trip ticket agent called me and told me they were going to void the ticket because I didn't put shrimp on the boat. I thought that was kind of odd to the trying to save by catch. Okay.
Yeah, time, sir. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Laura Wiggins, followed by Candy Beaumont, I believe.
How you doing? My name is Thomas Wiggins. I have been a avid fisherman, commercial fisherman. My dad took me fishing when I was little. with nets. I am 60 years old and I'm looking at about 5 more years before I retire. And here I am looking at a commission that's talking about expiring our shrimping areas and stuff that I've been in all my life. All my life. And I've worked my butt off to get where I'm at. And now you're going to take it away when I get ready to retire? What's up with that? What's up with that? You don't take something that I enjoy, that's my enjoyment, that's my heart, that's been in my life. You going to take that? Well, when you do, come to my house and get my $30,000 worth of boats, shrimp nets, and the whole 9 yards, and take it, fishing rods and all. If you want to take my shrimping, you take the fishing away, you take it all away from everybody. Well, you do a little more regulating on this fishing. And these people going up these creeks and catching all these fish where it's taking those fish away. You got a man that goes up a creek and sets a gill net and you don't catch a fish in there for 3 days, that's a problem. That's something you need to address. That's something you need to take care of. It needs to stop. You've closed part of the river. We can't go way up there and shrimp no more. I shrimp down at Paradise Shores and Oriental. I don't go inside that line. I obey the law. I catch my little cooler full and I go home about my business. The last several years have been excellent, been great. It's the greatest shrimping I've seen in my lifetime. And now you're going to sit here and take this and take it away? What's my son going to grow up looking at? My son's out there working away from home. Later in life, he's going to come home and he can't shrimp here. He can't take what I built and use my stuff to shrimp with. What's up with that? What's wrong? You ought to be ashamed. Everyone ought to be ashamed. Sit there and say that trawling's tearing up those sounds. If you don't trawl that sound and grind some of that ground up, it's going to turn to grass and junk. Look what they've done to the scallops. The scallops died out. They caught them up. And then they stopped them. Then the boys went back up there and started catching shells and nothing but shells. But eventually the scallops came back because the boys were up there stirring it back up. The boys are starting to make better money up there now. I've been there too. I've been on the northeast peak of Georgia banks. I've been right off the coast of North Carolina, dumped 85 bags of flounders. You're doing the right thing with that. You're bringing it back. It's maybe hurting some of them, but you're bringing it back. The flounders are coming back. Keep working on those things like that, and don't destroy it. Don't take it all away. Don't make me be angry and mad because I want to go shrimping. I can't go. I live in Winterville. I drive a tractor trailer. Most of the time I can't go during the week because I work anywhere from 9 to 12 hours a day. My shrimp time is on Sunday nights. And other than that, I can't go because most of the time I get movie is 1 o'clock in the morning.
Time, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for your comments. Okay, this is the last warning on this. If we still keep disrupting this meeting, I'm going to ask Marine Patrol to come over and talk with you all. And if it keeps up, I want to ask them to escort you out of the meeting. We don't want to do like that, but we've got to not be disruptive with our business. Okay. Okay, Candy Beaumont. Hold on. You're Laura Wiggins, excuse me. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Followed by Candy Beaumont. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot tonight about the financial part of it, and it's going to lose a lot of jobs. But the thing I just wanted to bring out was I haven't been involved in this very long. My husband and I have been married for 15 years, and I just want to take you back to a time when you were young, maybe, and when you went fishing with a father or a parent or an older brother, the joy of just having that fish nibbling on that rod. And it's kind of the same thing with shrimping. You draw your net behind the boat and you bring that catch in, and you get a chance to take it home. You get a chance to put it on your table and eat it, and you get a chance to bring your family in. Both of our sons are out of town. One's an over-the-road truck driver, and so he's home very seldom. But when they do get a chance to come home, one of the things they want to do is go shrimping. They want that family time. They want that joy to be able to go out. And my husband's a very, he gets emotional, but he's a stickler for the rules. And one of the things we do is when we go on Sunday night, we get there before we start shrimping, and he has one of those Lowrance things where it draws the line, And he's very adamant about finding where the boundaries are. If we can't find a boundary, we go somewhere else because he's very adamant about not fishing or shrimping where he's not supposed to. And so we have that little line on our Lowrance so that when it gets dark, it's very easy to follow it. Because like I said, we don't go inside the line. But it just saddens me that if I'm correct, they're trying to shut down these areas where we won't be able to go at all. You know, it is financial, it's a financial investment to have a shrimping boat, shrimping nets, all the things that you need. But most of all, it's just the families that you're going to tear apart, not only financially, but just the netting of the family itself where they get a chance to get together and enjoy things. Thank you.
Thank you. Candy Beaumont, followed by Ken Heath.
Good evening. I'm Candy Beaumont, and I'm a Pamlico County Commissioner. And I'm just going to read off a resolution that we did Monday night for you all. I'm going to leave out all the whereases. The Pamlico County Board of Commissioners rely on experts, data, recreational and commercial fishermen, and others in the seafood industry to help advise us on relevant issues that would have detrimental effects on the county and the region. In 2019, North Carolina required all shrimp trawlers operating in Pamlico Sound and in its tributaries to use one of 4 gear combinations tested and shown to reduce the bycatch of finfish by 40 to 57% above the existing BRD and TED requirements, thus making North Carolina the most progressive state in using bycatch reduction devices and resulting in bycatch reductions that are double the federal requirements. North Carolina's shrimp fisheries are stable, and finfish bycatch reductions across the state are double the federal requirements. Pamlico County and the region's recreational and commercial fishermen, along with supporting industries such as tourism, guide services, restaurants, retail stores, boat yards, contractors, trucking companies, marine supply stores, and accommodations are an integral economic driver for many low-wealth and marginalized communities in eastern North Carolina. Local units of government, as well as regional businesses, communities, and commercial recreational fishing industry are greatly concerned about the proposed Shrimp Fishery Management Plan Amendment 2. If the recommendation by DMF for Amendment 2 is approved, it will further eliminate local and statewide jobs in seafood, value-added food production, restaurant, tourism, trucking, contracting, boatyard, recreational, retail, and commercial fishing industries. If the recommendation by DMF for Amendment 2 is approved, it will have a disproportionately negative impact on historically marginalized minority and other small vessel owners. If the recommendation by DMF for Amendment 2 is approved, it will essentially eliminate the commercial and recreational shrimping industry in Pamlico County and the region. If the recommendation by DMF for Amendment 2 is approved, it will eliminate fish-to-table efforts and exacerbate local and state food shortages. If the recommendation by DMF for Amendment 2 is approved, it will eliminate recreational shrimping in Pamlico County that many low-wealth, elderly, and minority households depend on. Pamlico County and the Board of Commissioners reaffirms its unwavering commitment to North Carolina citizens, communities, and fishing industry by supporting the position of our commercial and recreational fishermen that strongly opposes Amendment 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Ken Heath, followed by Kim Fink. And if y'all would mute your phones, I'd appreciate it.
My name is Ken Heath from Pamlico County, past county commissioner and current mayor of a small town there. We have right many commercial fishermen in our small town. I'm here to speak on behalf of them. All across our nation, it seems as though the government has waged an attack on hardworking families. And now at a time when it is so crucial to get people and families back to work, the rumor is some of you on this board want to keep our families friends, and neighbors from making a living. I ask you tonight to stand up for the hardworking commercial fishermen of this state. Please make the right vote and keep our waters open to shrimping and the commercial fishermen. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, no more. Kim Fink, followed by Glenn Fink. You need to be addressing us, ma'am.
I am not a fisherman. I am a consumer. So it's the first time tonight you're hearing from just a consumer. When I go to a restaurant and I want shrimp, I don't want frozen shrimp that has been imported from someplace in Asia with sketchy sanitary conditions and harvested with slave labor. We need to be supporting our local communities, our local seafood. If you guys do what you're wanting to do, there will be much more lost than just saving bycatch. You've heard about families, you've heard about businesses, you've heard about restaurants, but I really like my shrimp. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Glenn Fink, followed by Zach Davis.
Glenn Fink, Craven County. I am just a concerned citizen, and I am a consumer. A lot of what I am interested in saying was already said, so I'll be brief. I stand with the shrimpers. They're already a highly regulated industry, and they don't need more regulation or more limitations to what they're trying to do for their families and for the community. I really believe that the impact on the businesses, it's already been mentioned, is significant, and we need to be worried about that as a community. And I know that there's already been significant gains made on the bycatch, and I know there's other objectives in this particular amendment, but I just question the need for those other objectives, and the cost of meeting those objectives is more significant than the benefit in my mind. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Zach Davis, followed by Richard Wade.
See here. My name is Zach Davis. I'm from Carteret County. I've found a lot of flaws with the advisory committee's issuance papers. The studies used by the advisory committee include research used against North Carolina trawling that's based on oceanic fish trawling from the Alaskan Aleutian Islands and the Pacific California coast, which have no connection to North Carolina or shrimp trawling. The Hilborn study was a gillnet study research. There's not a single mention in that entire article of shrimp trawling, not one. But you seem to find it applicable to base your recommendation for trawling. So let's compare oranges to Christmas trees instead of apples to apples. The committee has blatantly disregarded the DMF studies that prove that small vessels using skimmer trawls have the least impact on the ecosystem and the environment, including bycatch, all of which are used exclusively in your recommended closure areas. The transfer of special secondary nursery areas to permanent has already happened in 5 of the 15 recommended locations via the 2021 revision to Amendment 1 FMP. DMF has no obligation to open a special secondary nursery area. The only reason this designation was sought was to extend the gillnet prohibition from September 30th to the required November 30th of a permanent special secondary nursery area. It's a backdoor gillnet ban for 2 more months. Reduction in trips and participants, according to the DMF statistics, has decreased by 80 to 90% on a 5-year average in the proposed closure areas over the past 15 years. Yet that is not satisfactory for the advisory committee or the commission, because the agenda they seem to push has been confirmed with the CCA's website of total closures and total elimination of trawls in areas, as well as gillnets. It's a known fact. The fishery wanted to use Submerged aquatic vegetation areas for large-scale closures, even though those areas are very small, and many boundary lines could be changed with fishermen input to benefit the SAVs while also leaving
30
key trawling areas open for fishermen, but you're unwilling to communicate with local fishermen. In full, this proposal is likely passed on in its entirety to be stacked against the fishermen and fought by the legislator, just like the last ludicrous proposal was passed. It does nothing more than put the little man and recreation fishermen out of business. They do not have the vessel, the fuel, the ice, and the manpower to go in the remaining open areas.
Time.
I'm up, sir. Thank you for your comments. Okay, Richard Wade, followed by Dawn Lawrence.
Good evening, everyone, and the members of the Marine Fisheries Commission. My name is Richard Wade. I'm the owner-operator of Fisheries Vessel Carolyn Ann. I began my fishing career in 1979, working on my great-grandfather's boat. I'm 49 now. I've worked these inside waters from a 16-foot skiff on a single trawl to now I own a 75-foot trawler, which I work up and down the East Coast. To me, the recommendations will hurt, but they won't hurt me as bad as they will others. Other people, they will put them out of business. This will be life-changing. It'll alter our heritage and be catastrophic to our coastal economy of this county and the entire state. The impacts are going to range from fishermen unable to provide for their families to local seafood peddlers selling shrimp on the side of the road. They'll be put out of business. Closing restaurants losing revenue, employees losing jobs, and fish houses closing entirely. On pages 13 and 14 of the Shrimp Fisheries Advisory Report, the division does not have an accurate data or projection of how these changes will affect or impact they will have socially, economically, or biologically. The habitat destruction is one of the things we're talking about. If you look back at the bottoms that's been previously closed that were very productive bottoms, look back at them now, they're dead. Nothing but wastelands, mud flats. They don't support no life. If you don't stir up the sediment so the tides can carry it out, it just settles and smothers the bottom. In my opinion, these closures would eventually lead to an ecological disaster in our state. Has there been an actual biomass survey done since the 90s when we started implementing this gear? I mean, how do we know that we're not already meeting what's federally?
30 seconds.
To the members of the commission, please remember to listen to the other fishermen, restaurant owners, fish dealers, and the members of the general public. Please remember, whatever you decide tomorrow, let our comments guide you. Your decisions will not only affect the future of our coastal communities but the direct economics of our state. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Dawn Lawrence, followed by Buzz Frederick.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Lawrence. I'm from Carteret County. My husband owns the fishing vessel, Carolyn Ann. I'm just here tonight to talk about the economic of it all. Some of us do have grandchildren that we look after. And we have a 3-year-old grandson. There's nothing more than he loves to be on that boat shrimping. And if we look at it that way, what is he going to have left? What is our youngins going to have left that are growing up now that want to follow in their daddy's footsteps, their granddaddy's footsteps, their mother's footsteps? we're not going to have anything, and that doesn't impact what it's going to do to the counties. Carteret County is not a rich county. You say yes because we have tourism. No, I'm talking down east. We have a lot of commercial fishermen, and it's going to impact. We're going to be standing in line, waiting on food stamps, waiting on government help, just like they have for COVID, and it's slow coming. And so just think about the impact that it's going to do, not to mention it's a dying breed. And I would like for my grandson to grow up and be proud and say, yes, I'm a fisherman. I do North Carolina proud with fresh seafood.
Thank you for your comments. Buzz Frederick, followed by Dennis Barber.
I appreciate the time to express our views. I didn't do it on purpose, but I heard another commercial fisherman talking about his over road experience. I've got 46 years, a little overview. I got 46 years commercial fishing, from crawling on the mud to shrimping, from Hatteras to McCullensville, South Carolina. Not that I'm a professional or know exactly what everybody else is doing, but this blue folder represents what I'm forced to do now, and that's drive a truck, CAT card, insurance, MC license, whole 9 yards. I have been extrapolated and regulated to the point where it's real hard to make a living. Back on point. My name is Clarence Frederick. I hail from Swansboro, 46 years commercial fisherman. Question number one, has there been an economic impact study done of what is going to happen to the people of North Carolina that shrimp and support? I know there's other ways of doing this other than shutting it down to the intercoastal waterway. Why are we picking on little man, this being the commercial and recreational boats? They have a right to. Question number two, what is the difference between Pamlico Sound and all other bodies of water? Why are we shutting this down? Their answer is there's no difference. Pamlico Sound, White Oak River, New River, Bogue Sound, Greens Creek, same things apply to them and all. There's no difference with it. The division has asked us to reduce bycatch. As a industry, we have met and exceeded anything that the division had come up with, either by fish eyes or whatever. Question number three, has anybody thought about the hazard to navigation or the potential loss of life by putting these small boats in the ICW with barge traffic and fast moving yachts? And what would just thinking about it, what if the division forced us out there and something happened, what would the what's the word I'm looking for? What would the liability be to the division as far as on a legal mile?
30 seconds.
We put them out there. There's other ways of doing this. We just need to get together, talk to the people that's been in the industry for years. I can't speak for Pamlico Sound. I know what's going on in White Oak River, New River, stuff like that. We can come up with better solutions other than just shutting it down. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Dennis Barber, followed by Ken Siegler.
My name is Dennis Barber, and I'm a retired Coast Guard with 22 years of service. The 22 years in the Coast Guard, I watched commercial fishermen and these shrimp trawlers be treated different than any other recreational fisherman there was. I guess, and I hope and pray each one of you know what a Fed and a TED is. But I don't think I can ask you that question because a fish excluder device and a turtle excluder device shot these juvenile shrimp and fish and everything out of those nets. So when these poor guys were out fishing and they dumped their bags, there was nothing there because there were so many other problems with these feds and TEDs throughout the years. Now, if you want to get rid of all the shrimping in Carteret County or eastern North Carolina, you're going to do it. Because by regulating them more and more and more, I don't know what more you can do to regulate them. Because fisheries or the national fisheries or whoever it was, they had to put EPIRBs on their boats, spending thousands of dollars for that. Then they had to put an immersion suit on if they were going out to sea. And little lifeboats. Who in the world can afford that? We already almost run them out of business before. So with everything going on right now, where will you buy your shrimp from up in Raleigh? Where are you going to go buy it from? It's transported from little trucks all the way to the mountains from here selling shrimp on the side of the road so they can make a living because all the seafood places have been run out of business because of regulations. Now, I got a gift for you if you want to try to eat this. That's shrimp from Argentina that's being sold in our grocery stores. You controlled flounder for years. Guess what? I can go in the food line and other stores and buy undersized flounder sitting in a seafood section of a store. Are we going to regulate a store and tell them to quit selling undersized fish? And that stuff right there, that stuff is from Argentina. Who knows how that was made? Who caught it and where they caught it from? Was it in a ditch or, get you some Vietnam shrimp if we want to carry it back up again to Raleigh and prove what it tastes like. Shrimp is grown in ditches in Vietnam and shipped to America for folks to eat that don't know any better. So if you want local seafood, please buy in Carteret County or Pamlico or the eastern coast of North Carolina. But I wouldn't put this in my mouth, and all this is bait shrimp. But you're going to put the fishermen out of business. You're going to put the seafood restaurants out of business. There won't be nothing left on the waterfronts of Carteret County but condos and townhouses. And that stormwater runoff is killing fish and all kinds of other things. The bait's missing out here because dredging puts the sand fiddlers out of business. They're all dying off, so there's nothing for the fish to eat. Are we going to put a ban on?
Time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments. We can't take gifts. Is this against state law? I'm sorry. I'm positive, 100%. Yeah, he told me I can't have it. Ken Siegler, followed by Wesley Potter.
Ken Siegler, Bear Creek. I'd like to reiterate what previous speaker was to the risk and danger to the public of what's taking place. As a young kid on a trawler, I pulled the outrigger up, and as I was coming off the power head, winch head, to go to the pin rail, comes a recreational boat, 30 feet away, and the boat rocks in their wake. Down comes the outrigger. Still got the scars on my back. Now, thank heaven that the cable held and the weld at the top of the mast didn't break. Because if it had, there'd have been 5 other dead people. These aren't toys. These are working machines. And you simply can't be trusted to put them around the general public who has no idea. So as they come by waving and throw in that wake on that shrimp boat, as that outrigger's coming up, better think very carefully because they're putting their own life at risk. You're taking in Pamlico Sound and you're creating a situation where you're going to push all the trawlers out into one little area there in the Sound. That's the exact situation that you fought to alleviate in the river. And now you're going to recreate it in Pamlico Sound. It makes no sense. Now, I done a SANE study. The reason I done that study was to eliminate regulatory discards. But it looks like there's some on the division staff that thinks we could use seines to supplant trawls. There is not even a close correlation between the two. When you're catching 10 pounds of shrimp with a seine, you're catching 400 pounds of shrimp with the trawl or skimmer trawl. There's no correlation. You're not going to make no living with a seine. But what you can do is eliminate the regulatory discards that occur. When I use my seine, I go out and take in spots, croakers, and up comes 10 pounds of shrimp. I have to throw those shrimp overboard. The gear is already approved, and it's been approved for years. But the fella standing there with the cast net can throw his net in the same exact location where I threw those shrimp back, and he can take them home and eat them.
Time.
Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ken. Wesley Potter, followed by Rayner James.
This on? I'm Wesley Potter. I'm a commercial fisherman. I've been shrimping in Jones's Bay and Bay River for 30 years, making my living for me and my family. The proposals that y'all have is going to close that area. I don't see the need of it. I think industry is doing plenty to address the bycatch issue. I think mostly what it is people don't. There are certain people in the Wildlife Federation don't like to see shrimp boats out there dragging. They think they're going to catch all the fish there is in the sound. I think there could be a lot more done to address water quality. I think that's the biggest problem that this state faces, and nobody's addressing it. When that water gets hot enough out here in the summer, there's nothing that lives outside of 10 foot. Is there any studies or anything being done to try to address that issue? I think that would be something that would benefit everybody, and we wouldn't fight about it. We could get along on that certain issue. But if this proposal that you have now is put through, it's going to put me out of the shrimping business and many other people with small boats that can't go offshore, and that's mostly who's going to be affected by this. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Rayner James, followed by Hal James.
Good evening, gentlemen. I am Rayner James. I live in Craven County. We in North Carolina are blessed with more than 3,000 square miles of estuaries. About 47% of that water is closed to shrimping permanently. There are another 200,000 acres of water that are closed part of the time. So that means over half of the waters are closed already. It's my understanding that you gentlemen cannot tell us what the effect, some of it, for a great deal of it for a long, long time, like more than 50 years. And yet with studies, it's my understanding that you're unable to quantify whether there are more finfish as a result, whether habitats have improved as a result. You've heard people talk about the economic and emotional stress caused by closure. So you know that's a negative. I'm like Kim Fink. I like my shrimp, and I like it fresh. I like it so succulent. I like it local. I want to go to the seafood market. I want to go to seafood restaurants and enjoy that shrimp. Please don't make me get real mad with you guys. I think I represent a ton of other people too. Kim and I aren't the only ones. Please don't close any more of our waters. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Al James, followed by Ronald Cherry.
I'm Hal James, and I live in Craven County with my bride of 61 years, Rainer James, who's just here. I want to speak to you briefly from 3 different perspectives, and each one I'll be brief. One is like my good friend Kim Pink and my wife, Rainer James. I love my good North Carolina seafood. When I go to a restaurant in Swansboro or Morehead City or Oriental or places like that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get really good North Carolina grown and bred seafood. And that's exactly what I want. When I go to Raleigh to a restaurant, I go, up to visit my son up in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I don't know what kind of seafood I'm getting, but I want to make sure that it's not from Asia, it's not from Thailand or somewhere like that. When I go into one of these restaurants, I usually try to talk to them about where they get their shrimp, because I want it to be good North Carolina shrimp. The second perspective I wanted to talk to you about is that I belong to an organization. It's a 501c3 organization. It was started a number of years ago, and Michael Speciale was the chairman. Norman Sanderson was the vice chairman, and I'm proud to have served as the chairman and vice chairman myself. This organization for a whole number of years has tried to protect the benefits of the small entrepreneur. Now, when you look at entrepreneurship, you look at these folks that are commercial fishermen, you're looking at a genuine entrepreneur, somebody who depends on his livelihood from his own wits, his own skills, and for generations, they've passed them on down from father to son, grandfather to father, and father to son. And my heart goes out to these people. They've come up here and pled with you all to be able to continue their businesses, pass them on, like I said. I don't know how come that they're so overregulated to the point that government just seems to be wanting to put them out of business for some reason. Another thing I want to tell you about is this organization. Every year we set priorities on what our work should be about to protect the freedom in our national republic. And with that, we always include entrepreneurship and small business. It includes little garages, little grocery stores, and little businesses. I say little, they're important businesses. They're the backbone of our America. And when you're messing with their livelihood, you're messing with freedom in America is the way I see it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir, for your comments. Ronald Cherry, followed by Chris Chadwick.
My name is Ronald Cherry. I live in Craven County. Was born and raised in Eastern North Carolina. The only time I've been out of Eastern North Carolina, 2 quarters at Appalachian State, and the time I was on active duty with the military. I have always enjoyed seafood from Eastern North Carolina. The only time I have ever bought seafood, I bought seafood in Raleigh. I went to a Red Lobster. That Red Lobster had freezer burn. That's not very fresh. If I get seafood in Eastern North Carolina, I'm not worried about it having freezer burn. I've enjoyed all types of seafood, whether it be oysters, scallops, shrimp, you name it. And we're talking about the livelihood. The estimates are over 2,000 people. You're going to put 2,000 people out of business. Now, let me ask you this. What would happen if these 2,000 people just got upset with you and contacted all their friends and said, okay, these people here work at these businesses. We need to boycott them. And the people I'm talking about is these people. I'm talking about you. What kind of effect could that have on your business? I'm not making a threat. I'm just saying, as one politician said in the past, all elections have consequences. And all votes, there is a choice. I mean, if I interact with somebody, an employee of mine, if I should fire him, he's got a choice. He could go off meekly or he could come back and work me over. I'm not saying that he would. I've never had been an employer, but I'm just saying these are options that every individual has. So this is something y'all might need to weigh on too. What happens if you put 2,000 or more people out of business and they're trying to make ends meet any way they can to feed their family? That's the number one goal of every individual in this room, is be able to feed his family. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, Chris Chadwick, followed by Terry Pratt.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Chris Chadwick. I'm a Carteret County Commissioner. District 6, which stretches from Beaufort to Cedar Island, North River to South River, Merriman, many parts of the Intercoastal Waterway. My district is very different from the end of the county you're on now, with very rural and very dependent on commercial fishing. Monday night, our board met and we unanimously passed a resolution against these changes to the shrimping industry. They're not science-based. I think they're more political science-based. But I'm not sure what I can tell you here tonight that's not already been said. Had some fantastic speakers. But here are a few things I did jot down. If you look at the estuarine waters that are already closed to shrimping, it would be the size of Pitt County, Lenoir County, Wayne County, and Greene County combined. Now you think about that for a minute. That's a pretty big area. Many of these boats, as said before, are smaller boats, about 70% or less than 50 feet. It's not safe for them to go out into the ocean. Many of them tried it, and many people, even some of my classmates, have lost their life shrimping in the ocean. Too small a vessel. These changes would be disastrous financially. All of eastern North Carolina, many families up and down this coast rely on shrimpers, not only for fresh shrimp, as many of the inland folks rely on them for, but they also sell them ice and fuel and nets, electronics. Boatyards rely on them for businesses like Ted and Todd's Marine right here in Beaufort. Rely on them for repairs. So that creates many more jobs. The CCA likes to talk about the man stopping to the gas station in Kinston, buying some rod and reels, getting him a hamburger, and going on down to the coast. But they don't like to talk about the commercial man, where he spends money at the handy house every week, got his kids in school, some ball games, community efforts, museums, and all that. The totality of the circumstances and the total economic impact is much greater than a lot of these commission members like to admit.
30 seconds.
It is our heritage. This room is full of hard-working men and women. We already have fish excluder devices, turtle excluder devices to do away with bycatch. These hardworking men and women are just trying to support their families and their communities. If you do implement these rules, you've not only failed these watermen here tonight, you have failed the North Carolina consumer who demand local North Carolina caught shrimp. Thank you.
Thanks, sir, for your comments. Terry Pratt, followed by Michael Ireland.
Been a while, Mr. Bill.
It sure has, Terry. How you been doing?
I've been doing fine, except for what y'all did to us. You know, I've seen this same song since the time Pete was born. there is a better way to manage fisheries. Kathy knows it, but she can't do it by herself. But I think she would. And you need to manage system-wide. Manage the system. And manage the system, Pete, means look after it environmentally. Put that habitat and water quality back in force. The system will look after the resource. If you manage it that way, resource will fare better, the fishermen will fare better, and the consumers of North Carolina will really fare better because they can have homegrown seafood at a reasonable price. And what I ask you all to consider changing direction from the way you manage things. It ain't gonna get nowhere where you're going.
Thank you, Terry. Take care. Michael Ireland, followed by Kim Willis.
I want to start by thanking you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I've been in the business for 45 years in 2 boats. Seen a lot of changes. One thing I want to touch on tonight, the first thing is habitat. I read in the proposal that we're concerned about shellfish beds and protecting them. First, I want to make it aware to the commission that the nets we pull, one net costs $5,000. I dragged 4 of them. $20,000 just in nets. Then I add fish excluders. I had turtle excluders. I put a tail bag on to meet the current restrictions. And the numbers keep adding up. The last thing I'm going to do, or any of my fishermen friends are going to do, is drag into a shellfish bed. We know where they're at. We cannot afford to be destroying habitat because while we're destroying habitat, it's destroying our gear. And quite frankly, the profit margin is too small to go out and buy gear. Secondly, I want to touch on financial hardship on the small boats. I have rather big boats, but the small boats from my area, Hoboken, will be devastated by this amendment. A lot of these people have kids that are getting ready to go to college. They're going to be trying to put these kids through college. I'm fortunate. I sent both of my kids through college. They're grown, they're married. But for the upcoming fishermen, this is an issue because this is all they've ever done and they need to be able to borrow money. Secondly, or thirdly, is bycatch. You haven't heard a single fisherman here tonight say he was opposed to trying any new gear that would reduce bycatch. Currently, we're at 45 to 50% according to which report you read. I'm certainly not opposed to dragging any type gear with an observer on my boat to see if we can reduce bycatch because I'm there to catch shrimp. I'm not there to catch bycatch. The science is lacking any evidence necessary to approve this amendment. We need to issue more studies.
30 seconds.
I asked you to support and abide by the current regulations and restrictions and not implement more without it. And I certainly urge you to quit jumping through hoops for the North Carolina Federation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kim Willis, followed by Ted Smith.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having the hearing. But I come to this from a little bit different perspective than a lot of people. I was raised as a military child, so I traveled around the United States. Then I was raised on a farm, and I married and came to Carteret County. My husband is a doctor. I am a contractor and a realtor, so I know all aspects of Carteret County and Pamlico because I build in both. My husband also deals with patients from both areas. I also was on the school board. So what you're looking at with what you're proposing is not just affecting the family fisherman. You're affecting, number one, a way of life. America was founded on small business. Already we've seen what's happened in the Midwest where they've cut out the pipeline. Russia can have a pipeline, but we can't. We've put families out of business. If you proceed with what you're doing, you will affect not only the fisheries, You will affect the schools. You will affect the hospitals. You will affect the crime rate. Because if people do not have good education, if they do not have good health care, then the areas begin to fall apart and you begin to see more drugs in the area, some way for people to support themselves. You have a lot of people in this room who try to make an honest living. There are ways to take care of the fisheries because, of course, I want to do that because I am in Carteret County. But there are ways to take care of the fisheries without putting people out of business. You need more scientific data because I went to Carolina and I'm big on data, I'm big on information. It is proven that the bottoms need to be churned up some to get rid of the silt and the mud. So therefore, if you limit these areas, you're killing them. They will die. If they die, then that will then affect the bigger waters. So you need to get more studies, more things done, but you do not need to put your small fishermen out of business. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ted Smith, followed by Mary Griswold.
My name's Ted Smith, Ted and Todd's Marine Services, and Ted and Todd's Commercial Fishing Trawler Marina. I want to start off by explaining I've been going to these meetings since I was 10 years old. My family started in the seafood business in 1941 in Davis, North Carolina. That's on the waters of Core Sound, which is one of these areas that y'all are considering shutting down. I want to know, well, first thing, this is a shrimp fishery management plan. I feel like this is not a shrimp fishery management plan. Neither is it a bycatch management plan. I feel like this is a commercial fisherman elimination plan. My family was in the seafood business up till 1989. I had my own trawler, 80 foot. We came in with the flounder quotas, turtle shooters. They closed the fly net in south of Hatteras. And yes, 19 years old, 80-foot trawler, I panicked. So I sold my boat. I haven't had a commercial fishing license since. We put in a railway to do maintenance on the people's boats from up in Virginia and Cape May, because these people were able to work, make a living. They were still striving, making plenty of money. They weren't being choked to death by plans such as these. In the late 80s, there were 7 seafood companies in Beaufort. A reduction plan, a reducing bycatch. There was 31 trawlers, 75 feet to 90 feet in Beaufort. Now there's 9. 5 of them trawlers are in New Jersey to Rhode Island, scalloping during the peak shrimp season. So you go from 31 trawlers to 9. That's a big reduction. Every community down east, Cedar Island, Harkers Island, Davis, Marshallburg, had fish houses, 3 or 4 fish houses. There's 2 fish houses left down east. There's not a fish house left on Harkers Island. Go to harbor to Davis Shore. There might be 1 trawler, 2 trawlers tied up there still doing it. In 89, there was 30 shrimping at Davis Shore. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough reduction? Give us a chance. Let these people.
30 seconds.
They're dinosaurs. They're the ones that's left. I'm going to address y'all, but I love these people. I put my marine in, and I tied trawlers to it. Not $500 a month for your contender with your 300 outboard motors. No, I want to be the last one from my grandfather looking down at me saying, all right, you helped them to the very bitter end. Give these people a chance. Let's use what we're doing right now. We've had enough reduction.
Time.
Let's see if this works.
Thanks for your comments. Okay, Mary Griswold, followed by Bob Griswold.
My name is Mary Griswold. I live in New Bern. I'm not a native here. I moved here from Massachusetts, and I watched overregulation kill the fishing industry in New Bedford. There were generations of Portuguese fishermen who were put out of business because of overregulation that was not based on science. I don't want to see that happen here. I like North Carolina. I like North Carolina seafood. I don't want to see what happened to the New Bedford economy happen here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Bob Griswold, followed by Caton Daniels.
Bob Griswold from New Bern, North Carolina, transplant from Massachusetts. As my wife said, by the way, thank you for having us and hearing us. As my wife said, we watched an industry, we watched a family industry get destroyed up in Massachusetts because of overregulation. We watched people that had working boats that all of a sudden were told you can't use your boat except for X number of days a week. Well, you can't afford to pay the mortgage on the boat. You can't afford to do anything like that based on your limitations. Based on the limitations that we're seeing here, you would ask a small boat owner to go out into the ocean to where they don't belong. One of the other things that I've noticed in your proposal, by the way, is apparently you're using what's called frequency statistics. And that is, there's only one reference to Hurricane Florence in there. And Hurricane Florence has had a devastating effect on this coastal area. And we're just beginning to recover. And as we're beginning to recover in buildings and everything else around here, we're also beginning to recover. Your statistics do not show any reference to acknowledging that we had a devastation in the industry, and we're in a situation where we have to recover. Again, it's a family business. I like fish. I like shrimp. I really, really like fresh shrimp and local shrimp. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Caton Daniels, followed by Alex Chadwick.
Press that button.
Make sure your green light comes on. One on the button on the right.
I'm 26 years old. I dare say there's not 20 people my age that's starting out in this business. I didn't go to college. I got a captain's license. I could go off work on a boat if I wanted to. I choose to do what I do. I own a 45-foot shrimp trawler, and I've invested everything I got into it. And I would really like to continue to make a living the way I do. When I was growing up, I can remember Core Sound looking like a city and Pamlico Sound looking like a city. You don't see that no more. I'm one of 3 or 4 people in Core Sound in the run of a night, in the peak of shrimping. The boats ain't there no more. There's no, that should be counted as a major reduction. And I don't think that's took into effect, and you're taking a big heritage away from Eastern North Carolina. And I think every one of you should really think about what you're doing. We've been took from, and we can't be took from anymore. This is the straw to break the camel's back. We can't take it no more. This is it. And the safety of putting all the small boats that works in Core Sound and Moose River and New River, you're forcing them to go into the ocean where they don't need to be, and it's not safe. Anyway, may God bless you to make the right decision.
Thank you for your comments. See, Alex Chadwick, followed by Jane Potter. Make sure the green light's on.
I'm Alex Chadwick, and I'm a commercial fisherman. I shrimp all these waters that you're talking about closing, or that post was talking about closing. When I'm not shrimping them, I'm gillnetting in them. And that's a big thing that's not talked about in this. And that's going to have a major impact. I would say at least 90% of my living out of these waters. And I'm one of many that you'd be putting out of business. Y'all can put a face with who you're putting out of business. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jane Potter, followed by Donna Willis. Jane Potter. Okay, okay. Oh, no.
He's got a scuff.
Hey, please have a seat.
He owns a 20-foot boat, a scuff. And I'm here fighting for him as he's wrestling right now. So I'm a little emotional, but I promised him I'd be here. So I just want to say thank you for listening to me this evening. I represent 60 commercial fishing families in Pamlico County. I represent 60. If all of them represent 60, it's probably 9,000. And I'm missing his wrestling match tonight because this is important. And I'm nervous. We are hardworking. We are dedicated people. We desire is to not live on government handouts. We are part of an industry that provides more than 5 million in North Carolina economic impact. 50% of Pamlico County Sound, or Pamlico Sound, is closed to trawling. That's 1,900 square miles. Our industry has lost more than 54% of fishermen. Therefore, the land and permits is low. The bycatch is low because we've lost 54% of our people. We focus on habitat protection. We focus on reducing bycatch. We were once one of the top 3 in the economic impact for North Carolina with tourism and agriculture. It's in your hands tomorrow if we're the top 3. Pamlico County is identified as a low-income county, and any changes would devastate our county. We protect the habitat. We ask that you leave the sound, the bays, the rivers alone. Let God do his work. Let us do what we're doing, and it'll be okay. Let us not be like Massachusetts, like the people just spoke.
30 seconds.
I just want to say that I feel like this is more of a political move. American politics is not good. It needs changing. Don't let politics stand in the way. CCA, there's room for you. Wildlife Federation, there's room for you. Commercial fishermen, there's room for us. Don't let it be about politics or skewed data.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Hope your son wins this match.
I'll let you know, because if you
Please.
hear me screaming,
All right.
hear me crying.
I hear you. Okay, Donald Willis, followed by Pat Killam.
I'm Donald Willis. I've been in the recreational tackle business for over 40 years. I'm going to talk about the one thing we really hadn't talked about much tonight, which is the spots, croakers, and gray trout. When I started my business, spots, croakers, and gray trout made up over 90% of my inshore business. Spot runs in the fall of the year, boats as far as you could see coming down Highway 70. I watched it when the big trawler showed up in the sound. I watched these 3 fisheries collapse. And nothing, less than 1% of my inshore business now involves those 3 fish. I'm telling you, we've got to do this for the resource. You look at every other state. They've done this. They haven't looked back. They've never readdressed this. It is sound science. We need not only to close the rivers, but close the sound. If we're going to save them over here and let them kill them over here before they can get in the ocean, it's not going to help. But I applaud what you're trying to do. I go to ICAST. I talk to federal marine fisheries people. I talk to people from other states. And I start talking about the problems we have here. And they look at me and go, well, where are you from? I say North Carolina. They just hold their hand up like, okay, that's enough. We know what's going on. You know, you're not a financial committee here. Marine Fisheries, the division, the commission. You have some wonderful volunteers that are on the commission. It takes a lot of time. You've got one job, and that's to protect the resource. That's what we need to do. You protect the resource that's going to help all of us. I hope you can find a way to do that tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Pat Kellum, followed by Jeff Stamper.
I'm not a commercial fisherman. I am a nurse, but I have worked on the boat with my husband for 46 years. We've been married 46 years. We raised our 4 children and 4 more grandchildren with commercial fishing. And it is a heritage thing. My uncle was run ashore in Ocracoke during the storm of 33. My husband mother had to call him in to catch the school bus because he would be in the creek every morning. He's done it his entire life. Now, I've been listening to a lot of people here talk about what the statistics are, the things that you all are trying to base this on. And I haven't heard one statistic, not one scientific statistic, that said that this should be based on science. Now, I have a degree in biology, so I understand science, and I looked a lot to see if this was really based on science. And it's not. This is based on emotion. This is based on a group of people who want to come down and throw their hook and lines overboard. And it's based on the people who have made their living. Those people that come down here and put their hook and lines overboard, they're going to go back to a job. You're going to go back to a job. If you take this from us, we won't have a job. We lose our job. When you go and look at your bank account tomorrow and the paycheck gets put into it, then you want to realize that your paycheck is okay, but ours won't be. Every one of us here want what everyone else wants, a good way of making a living. And we have complied as much as we possibly can with the marine fisheries. I called marine fisheries years ago, talked to Red Brooks and the different ones about what was going on. I've talked to a lot of people in marine fisheries over the years. We try our very best to comply. We have the turtle excluders, we have the fish eyes, and a lot of people have talked about that here tonight. And we have done everything you've asked us to.
30 seconds.
And now it's not enough. So when you go home and you open up your check account, you realize that you're going to get food on your table. But a lot of these guys won't if you close this and make it impossible for them to make a living. This is a difficult decision. And I hope that you side on the fact of a heritage that's been around here for as long as I can remember.
Time.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Jeff Stamper, followed by Eric Slaughter.
I just got a few questions. One, who's going to answer to my kids and tell them that they can't do this no more? This is something I grew up doing. I can remember days when I was a baby laying in the bow of a boat, shower curtain nailed over top of the bow to keep rain off of us. Us kids went out there all night long, got up the next morning, still went to school. This is how my family's made money. This is how I make money. This is 50% of my income every year. 50%. Which one of y'all are going to invite my family to come and eat Thanksgiving dinner? Because y'all cut this off, you cut all of our food off. And the main question is, who's gaining from this? Who's the one that's getting the money put in their pockets from all this right here? Because we shouldn't be sitting here having this meeting. Everybody in this room wants to know who's the man that's gaining. Who's the one that's paid out so much money to make y'all down on us? Because I'm going to tell you, every year. I got a trash pile in my yard because I drag around the sound. Guess what I catch? I catch all the bullshit all the guys throw in the water at the tourists. Umbrellas, fishing poles, 5-gallon buckets from Ace Value that some tourists bought to carry their beach goods down to the water. Without us, guess what? You won't swim in these waters because it's going to be so full of trash from the tourists, you can't get in the water. But I just want somebody to answer the question of who's paying so much to get rid of us. We all want to know this. Where is the money coming from? This is our life. This is our coast. When y'all shut us down, this is the day it goes back to being pirates. Because I promise you one thing, in front of every marine fishery that's here, the day you shut this down, I will still throw my 40-foot net on the back of my boat and I will drag. It will come a gun show on the water. You can't shut us down, plain and simple.
Eric Slaughter, followed by Donnie Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. My name is Eric Slaughter. I'm a commercial fisherman. I'm one of the small boats. I keep hearing everybody in the room talk about small boats going out of business. I'm one of those small boats. I'm a 24-foot boat, weather dependent. I can't get out into big water. I heard a gentleman tonight speak about no trout. I would argue that if you go to Chase and Tail's Facebook page, that is not correct. They're catching plenty of trout. Last year, they said it was the best year they've ever had for trout. Now, working on the water like I have most of my life, I'm realistic. We're one cold winter away from a bad trout season next year. I don't necessarily think you can blame that on any one person or one group of persons. But I wanted to come here tonight to speak, just to be a face. I'm one of the businesses that will be closed down if you pass this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Donnie Lewis, followed by Bradley Styron.
Good evening. I'd just like to say that commercial fishermen have been abiding by all the regulations that have been put on us, cooperated with observers, paid for observer programs, took them on our vessels with us, let them count fish, count shrimp. We got nursery areas to protect fish, juvenile shrimp, shellfish bottom. Most of the shrimping area that is open now does not get drugged. The lines have been pushed far enough out. There's plenty of nursery area now. We shrimp basically near the lines, and the bottom that is open does not get drugged. But if you close it to us and put all these little boats trying to make a living in the ocean or in the middle of Pamlico Sound, then we're done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Bradley Styron, followed by Kenny Rustick.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Eden Bradley.
commission members, and division staff. My name is Bradley Starr, and I'm a commercial fisherman, also a dealer. We're here tonight to discuss a petition that would basically destroy the economy of Eastern North Carolina. I really don't think it's really been thought out. I think it was rushed to judgment on this. And I think there needs to be more time taken before you even consider it. Some of the people here tonight were brought here to the coast of North Carolina to enjoy the sun. the surf, and the best seafood in the world. Without these commercial fishermen, there wouldn't be any top quality seafood that we have all come to enjoy. I mean, that with this, with a proposal like this would devastate North Carolina, especially eastern North Carolina. This is what people depend on for a living. There are approximately 10 million people in this state of North Carolina, and you've got 10% of the population controlling the resource. You got depend on a strong commercial economy for us to supply seafood to them. I don't really think that they would appreciate, if they really knew the gravity of this, they would really appreciate what's going on. Without the commercial fishing industry, again, the other 9 million people wouldn't have access to the best seafood in the world. And also, there'll be a large number of service industries, from your lumber yards, your fabrication shops, to fuel terminals. All of those people would be put out of business. They depend on this, as the rest of us do. I ask each and every one of you to look at this for exactly what it is. This is a social agenda. It has nothing to do with the resource. They tell us that it's done for the environment and the resource. How can putting people out of business justify anything of this magnitude? This is just another example of a few controlling the multitude with shoddy information, and that's exactly what it is. There's no justification in any of this. You cannot justify, because some people don't like the sight of a trawler, putting other people out of business. When you leave Calabash and go to Currituck, 50 miles of the water, this is what people do for a living.
Time.
You can't replace our livelihood.
Bradley got time.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments,
Thank you.
Bradley. Take care. Kenny Rustick, followed by Elena Harris.
My name's Kenny Rustick. I live in Marshburg, North Carolina. Been a commercial fisherman for 36 years full time, and I've shrimped the majority of the time. I've crab potted, do just about everything. The area that you want, I grew up fishing in the Neuse River area. And I've seen the spots and everything caught in the fall of the year above the line, the shrimping line now, which is the ferry, when there used to be trawling above that. But now there's not no fish there. Where are they at? Somebody else needs to be held accountable for this instead of the commercial fishermen. We've done the bycatch, excluders. We've always used splits in our bags when we got in concentrations of fish. And it's just one of them things that is a never-ending process. This is, like Bradley said, this is a social agenda. This is to put us out of business. I have a small boat. I have a 32-foot boat that I turned over in Pamlico Sound in 2018. I swam around in Pamlico Sound, me and a friend of mine, hanging on a coal tray lid for 14 hours. That's what happens to small boats in Pamlico Sound. The reason why I was there is because I just came off a neck operation. That was my first trip out. July the 15th, I left the dock at Marshburg. 17th of July, I turned my boat over. I lost 1,800 pounds of shrimp. I lost my boat. I lost my livelihood. You can't go play in places that you don't have the equipment to play with. And it'll be devastating. There's probably 18 boats that work Adams Creek in the Neuse River in the summer. They make our summer work. That's where we always worked. Well, if you close Adams Creek to Neuse River, where do we go? You can't go in the ocean in the summertime. The sharks will eat the bags off of you. The shrimp's not there like everybody thinks in the summertime. The I mean, this is just, you can read it for what it is. CCA Wildlife Federation agenda. This is what this whole is. I don't know who come up with this with the marine fisheries, but it's
30
it's not a
seconds.
good agenda. I sat on the shrimp amendment panel for the one and the bycatch panel. And we made a lot of things. We cut the net sizes down. Went to 2 fish excluders. We've done the large tail bags and everything, but it's never enough. I got holes in my nets. I can crawl in and I'm not little. I can crawl right through them. And I mean, it's just unreal.
Time.
I have to call time on you,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Elena Harrison, followed by Sarah Benenschek. Excuse my. I'll let you correct me when you come up here.
I'll correct you as well. It's Alana. I'm Alana Harrison from Hathers Village. I'm here to speak as a private citizen. It is very exciting to see the Coastal Habitat Protection Plan almost approved. I hope funding will be available for coastal communities to implement nature-based solutions to mitigate runoff from our estuarine waters or into our estuarine waters. For too long, commercial fishermen have been blamed for the declines in fish stocks. As a division of the Department of Environmental Quality, it is past time for marine fisheries to consider solutions beyond cutting us back. There are 11 million North Carolinians who depend on us to bring them wild-caught seafood. Most cannot afford a boat of their own. Many cannot take off from work and travel to the coast and then hire a boat to go catch it. But they can't afford to go out to dinner on the weekend and enjoy a piece of flounder or a plate of steamed shrimp. I live on the Outer Banks where my family has a seafood market and a fishing business. The summer shrimp season was not good for us. It usually starts in July, but we didn't start seeing catches until October. Everyone had run out of frozen shrimp by then. I am not being dramatic when I tell you that every customer I have wants shrimp. And when I don't have it, they turn around because I don't have any local North Carolina fish to give them. My quotas are filled on tile. My quotas are filled on grouper. All I have is tuna. I'm left with tuna. So they leave my store and they go down the street to buy imported shrimp because they're being sold North Carolina shrimp and they're buying imports. So then that takes money out of the local stocks because it's fraud. So we closed our store for a month because it got so tiring telling every customer that we just weren't catching them. But that was a prelude to what's going to happen next. I was closed from mid-August to mid-September for the first time ever, and it was not because of a hurricane, but because my family goes through hurricanes so much, we've learned to save money in case that happens. This was like a hurricane. It was a natural disaster. So while user group conflict has dominated meeting after meeting, protecting our state's marine resource has become an afterthought to allocations and gear restrictions. Meanwhile, fish stocks have fallen into disrepair, and the only solution thus far has been commercial cutbacks. Has removing almost every commercial flounder fisherman rebuilt flounder yet? The shrimp trawlers can't get into Oregon Inlet. They're going into Hampton, where Wanchie's Fish is headquartered. This is a reporting problem. You can't use these statistics to put us out of business if you're not looking at where the shrimp are going after leaving North Carolina. Please, you need to get access to the other states and landings, and the data's not there. I really hope you need to research that better. It's a reporting problem. Same on the private side.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Sarah, and I'll let you get me with your last name.
I don't know how I'm supposed to speak after that. Heartbreaking. It's Benechek. Sarah Benechek from Craven County. I came completely unprepared. I've never been to one of these before, and I'm sitting here heartbroken to listen to this. Okay. So my question is for you. I see a lot of effort to save the dogs, to save the eagles, to save the turtles. My question is to you, when do we put people first? I'll just let you sit and think about that. When? And I'm floored. A decision like this could be made before we can even get through COVID. What are these people going to do? Are you going to help them personally? Are you prepared to look the Lord in the face one day and be accountable for this decision? Because you will. These are real people. These are real lives. And unless you can look at their children in their faces and tell them why their parents no longer can support them and you support that, then I think you need to pause, reevaluate this, and do a lot more research. This is heartbreaking. I can't believe I'm hearing this in Eastern North Carolina. Heartbreaking. I got to go take a big cry. You guys think about what I said, please.
Thank you for your comments. Now that ends up with all that wanted to comment that signed in at the front door. We had about 40 people online, and it looked like a lot of them have not shown up that wanted to comment. Is there anybody here that hasn't already commented that would like to comment at this time? Yes, sir. Two in the back. Come up and just identify yourselves if you would. And okay, we'll just kind of get y'all in order as best we can.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I signed up online. So, my name is Jerry Schill. I'm Director of Government Relations for the North Carolina Fisheries Association. I did have some prepared comments, but after Sarah spoke just a couple minutes ago, it made me think of something. It'll probably ring home a little bit with you, Mr. Chairman. Many years ago, I met a guy by the name of Oscar Green, Electricon. Is that what he owned? He was an electrical contractor in Kinston. And he sold it, and I assume it was for a few bucks. But he moved to Carteret County, and he bought some snapper grouper boats. And that's not the important thing. The important thing, he also started going to Marine Fisheries Commission deliberations, committee meetings, and commission meetings. It was interesting because Oscar came from a totally different industry and came into commercial fishing. He was very active in the electrical contracting business, and he also became very active with commercial fishing as a boat owner. And I often heard him, and he did so very eloquently one time with a private meeting he had with Governor Jim Martin, that the difference between the Board of Electrical Contractors and the Marine Fisheries Commission. He was just astounded by the process where people sat around the table, and he didn't mean any disrespect, but he just stated the obvious, that the board that was making decisions on the lives of commercial fishermen, most of them knew very little, if anything, about the industry that they were regulating. And it was eye-opening to me because I was involved with it so much that sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. And Sarah I was astounded that she was astounded, but then for those of us that go to these meetings, we kind of become callous to the whole process. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I've been doing this for a long time. And one thing that I've heard over and over and over again is shrimp bycatch. Since I started in 1987, we've been talking about the same thing. I've been involved in all the bycatch studies. I've been involved in federally and state-related stuff. And here we are. We keep talking about the same thing. But earlier, I read the prepared comments that Glenn Skinner put forward from the Fisheries Association, that Commissioner Troxler put forward for the Department of Agriculture, and also Mitch Peel put forward for the North Carolina Farm Bureau. And, I can't add anything to that, except the science isn't there to do anything.
Time.
Okay.
Okay.
Call time on you.
You didn't tell me 30 seconds.
Yeah, you did. Just couldn't.
I'm
You're
old.
getting old and can't hear.
I'm old and can't hear.
That's right. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Okay, sir, why don't we take you next?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I did sign up online. I was never asked at the door whether I signed up or not, but I am Dare County Commissioner Steve House. In our last commissioner meeting this past Monday, we passed a resolution opposing Amendment 2. If you, as you do realize, with Amendment 2, it closes the sound north of Oregon Inlet. That will immediately 45 jobs lost, shrimp charters that our vacationers come down and enjoy every year. That's 45 jobs. You just said you can't do anymore. That's a rough pill to swallow. And it's not that they can just move to somewhere else and the sound to go. Also with this, reading through it, there is no scientific data that supports the closures. Show it to me. It's not in the reports. You might ask, what is my background on looking at facts and figures? I'm a nationally certified fire investigator, which means that not only do I investigate the cause and origin of the fire, but also the criminology behind it. Financial, if it's a homicide, if it's a burglary, I investigate those too. Show me the scientific numbers of what you're trying to accomplish. So far, North Carolina is leading the nation in bycatch reductions by what we are doing now. Not just because of the rules and laws of North Carolina that y'all have passed, but because of these efforts of these men and women behind me. We're leading the nation in bycatch reduction, which also means we're leading the world in bycatch reduction. When this amendment came out, several of our restaurateurs in Dare County automatically started receiving phone calls and emails from Taiwanese shrimp companies. Why would they do that? Follow the facts, follow the money.
30 seconds.
I have these copies with me to hear me with me today that I'll turn over. There's enough copies for each and every one of you as a cover letter, and also the resolution that was passed opposing this. There's no way I could read it in the short time frame. So please take it this evening or tomorrow morning and read through it at your leisure. We definitely oppose this. There is no scientific backing for it.
Time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And I'm going to bounce around. You are next, I believe, sir, and then we'll go to this gentleman here. Sure. Go right ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Senator Bob Steinberg. I drove over here from Raleigh with lots of good news for all state employees. All state employees are going to be getting a nice, healthy increase in their salary and wages and benefits. And then I come in here and I listen to this sad tale of what's going on here with these members of the commercial fishing profession. I am the only member of the North Carolina General Assembly that sits on the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, so I'm painfully aware of what's been going on for the last 8 or 9 years as it relates to commercial fishing and a death by 1,000 cuts. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and there's no end in sight, and it's pathetic. If each one of you gentlemen that sits on this board had to stand for election, I think it's pretty obvious tonight you'd be all defeated resoundingly. These people wouldn't support you because you don't support them. This is what legislators have to do. We have to stand for election, and we have to be accountable to the folks that we represent to make sure we, in fact, are representing their interest. Many of you folks who have sat on this for a number of years or have just rotated on have not been looking out for the interest of those folks we hope you represent. Not just any single entity that may have one point of view, but you need to be representing and thinking about everybody. I would caution you all to think about what happened in Virginia just a couple of weeks ago. The folks have had it. They're not going to take any more of this stuff where you're just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until you're pushing them into non-existence. These folks deserve to earn a living. If you sit down and talk with them like I have in my office in Raleigh, who come in with their families, 3 generations, and talk to you, and you just listen. Listen to the pain, listen to what they're saying. And then what you should be doing, which is what I try to do, how can I help? How can I help? And what you are contemplating on doing tomorrow is not going to be helping anyone in this room tonight, or certainly not most of them. And you will be held accountable to a higher source than I. But believe me, the people are speaking, and they're speaking clearly tonight. Please listen. Thank you.
Thanks, sir, for your comments. Hey, I think you're next, sir. Yeah, you're good to go.
My name is Richard Chapman. I have a commercial license. I have been a sports fisherman and a tournament fisherman since, I guess, 1983. I moved here from Raleigh, so I guess I'm a dingbatter. I own Bogue Sound Distillery. And I started that when I was 66. I'm 75 now. I commercially fished this year, and I do for flounder. And I did all 21 days, or whatever days that we're allowed to do, 1st to the 21st. It's the largest catch I've ever seen as far as size of fish. As far as shrimp, and I'm just talking about Bogue Sound. As far as the shrimp, that's the most I've ever seen in the water. We have changed net sizes 2 or 3 times. We've changed the amount of nets that we put in the water. And we're still doing okay. I think this is a policy of other parties influencing this place. And I guess I'm guilty because I supported some of them by helping them giving some alcohol for their events, which I will cease to do. But we have to work together as a group. We have to keep the entrepreneurship in America. I have lived through this in the distillery business. I'm a vice president of the Distillers Association of North Carolina, and we have worked hard to get where we are now. And our biggest advocacy is the beer and wine people, believe it or not. So I think that you need to take a look hard at who you're affecting and how you're affecting it. There's other ways to do this. Being a builder in Raleigh and a developer, water quality is a problem. The fisheries. Used to be scallops in the grass behind the bank in front of our place. There's none there. There's too much grass. So y'all need to really take another hard look at this. And so it's important. These guys are the true entrepreneurs that are just about left on Eastern North Carolina. We don't need to do anything to hurt this. Really don't. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Does anybody else? Yes, sir. Come right on up. Apologize for getting this kind of piecemeal, but more than half didn't show up that were online, but we'll do the best we can.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of this board. My name is Pete Benton. I live in Morehead City, North Carolina, born and raised in Craven County. Tonight, I come to you as a concerned citizen and a voice of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is evidently clear to me the people have spoken, and their will is very clear. Just like to share with you, if you would look at that flag sitting behind you, the flag of the United States of America. For 33 years, I defended that flag in this great country. I had the privilege to serve under Ronald Reagan as this Vice Commander of the United States Air Force Presidential Honor Guard. And I would impart these words of wisdom to each and every one of you. Love God, love your country, and do what is morally right and correct for the people of the United States of America. At this time of dramatically increasing fuel prices, drastically increasing food prices, gross supply chain shortages, loss in trucking industry, and record unemployment, this regulation amounts to nothing more than a stranglehold on the food supply, and at a time when less regulation is called for, not more. If you implement this proposed regulation, you will irreparably harm Carteret and other coastal communities, most seriously, as well as the economy of North Carolina. The people will hold you accountable. Do not further restrict fishing, especially at this time during supply shortages, escalating food prices, and other issues that face us today. It is nothing less than a very personal attack on the citizens of this great country. You have a duty and a responsibility to take care of the people. Thomas Jefferson said it the best: the government governs least, governs best. And Ronald Reagan said, as the power of government expands, so do the sovereign rights of the people contract. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Who is? Okay, we're not starting up even as it's at the end of the meeting. So Marine Patrol, if y'all see a need to talk to somebody, I appreciate it. Okay, who is next? Who saw another hand? Yes, sir. In the red hat, come on up. Yes, sir.
Got my driver's license and Sears and Roebuck, so don't nobody complain. I'm Bill Harrison. Most of you folks here, if you've been around Eastern North Carolina very long, you know of me. I love to get behind the mic. Oh, and for all you people that love shrimp, I hate it. I carry an EpiPen. If one little shrimp hits on me, I got to shoot it in my leg. I hate needles with a passion. But I've been married more than once. It took me a while, being a Marine, took me a while to get everything straight. My wife has 4 children, boys, and all of them are in seafood business. She can't cook it in the same house as me. But when I sat here and listened to talk economics, I thought I heard someone say you're going to put 1,000 people out of work, maybe 2,000. However, think of one thing. That person normally is married, normally has children, so you're not talking at 1,000 more, you're talking 5,000. Okay? And boats are like cars. They don't just go out in the ocean or out in the sea without doing maintenance. So you got people that work on them boats. Them people have families. So you're no longer talking little amount. You're talking 50, 60, 70,000 people that you're putting no food on their table by wiping out the seafood business. This, to me, I'm about up. I'm getting close. Okay, I'm a retired Marine. I always introduce myself as Bill Harrison, born-again Christian, and a retired Marine. Put 21 years in Marine Corps, 3 years in combat, and used to be as tall as you. Till one day, the bad guy, I missed him, and he shot me down. I went from 5'9" instantly to 5'4". This is what I got to pay for it. I love my country still, and anybody that wants to burn a flag in front of me, they better be able to run faster than my machine will go. And all of these folks here, I appreciate you. You notice what I got on my head? We are coming back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, don't start up, please. I've been trying to be nice, and y'all are pushing me. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. If you would like to make a comment. Let me see a show of hands if anybody wants to make a comment that hasn't yet. So I'm right. Okay. Why don't you move on up to the front if you would, and stomach's starting to growl a little bit. So, okay, go ahead, please.
Hi,
I am a new, my name is Jeannie Biddle. Thank you.
Please hold it down.
My name is Jeannie Biddle. Thank you for all being here tonight. I am a new transplant from Kentucky. I know more about tobacco and Toyota than I know about fishing, except for my dad and my grandparents. What I'm hearing tonight is so emotional on every part. Decisions are made because of people's emotional behaviors. I do strategic planning with Toyota. I do a lot of problem solving and facilitation. One of the things that I've heard tonight and through the observations is the lack of data. We do and discuss the problem solving process of countermeasures. Those of you who are business people, you know all about strategic planning and countermeasures. If you move forward tomorrow with a decision without data, it won't be very long before you'll have to go back, revisit that data, and change your decisions. So if you don't know where you stand today, where are you going to go tomorrow? So I really encourage you to do that, is to look at that data people are calling for and implementing those countermeasures, then looking back at the data and how it's affected you. The second thing that I'm hearing is lack of education. The people like myself, yeah, I belong to WWF and I love turtles and fish, but I also love my shrimp and I love lobsters, which y'all don't have, I don't think. But one of the things is being aware of education. I just saw on a neighborhood app, people are complaining about dead fish on the beach. It's because of the trawlers. It's because of the fishermen. It's because of red tide. Nobody really is educated to provide information to people. And the best way to start that is with children and understanding the values of North Carolina and the marine life. And then it moves up towards the elderly and the real elderly folks that have been doing this for a long time. Thank you for listening. If I can be of any assistance, just give me a call.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, and who is walking up from the back? Yes, ma'am. Come on up, please. Anybody else after this lady? Okay, sir. Stand by.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Mosier. I've been here in Carteret County since the 70s, and I have a couple of issues that I'd like to talk about. Number one, if we can't have any local shrimp, what are people going to use for bait? They're going to get shrimp from Taiwan and use for bait here in our waters. That would be their only choice, or some imported shrimp. In Texas, it is illegal to use shrimp that are caught anywhere other than the Gulf Coast in Texas waters, because the imported shrimp carry a disease, I believe it's called white spot disease. It is very contagious and it is devastating to the crustaceans in the environment where it is used. So that's one thing I'd like for y'all to think about. Number two, when I was much younger, I waitressed in a lot of different seafood restaurants, mostly in Salter Path. Couldn't always understand my coworkers, but I survived, and I served hundreds or thousands of visitors to the Crystal Coast. I served them seafood. And what they said when they come in is, I want the shrimp. I want the shrimp platter. I want the shrimp and oysters. I want the shrimp and flounder. But they wanted shrimp, our shrimp. And I served hundreds or thousands of pounds of shrimp. And how much money did that put in that economy in Salter Path? The people I worked for, they lived in Salter Path. They caught their own shrimp and they served them in their own restaurants. And how much money did that bring into our county? And think about how much money that brings in today. The people that are serving local shrimp, That's what the visitors want. Think of what a huge cut it would make in our economy just for the restaurants to have no shrimp. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, sir.
How y'all doing this evening? My name is Zachary Willis. I'm 35. I was born and raised here in Carter County. I'm from Mill Creek. Shrimping has always been a part of my life, my family's life. And whether you're doing recreationally, commercially, it doesn't matter. It's food in our freezer. It's food for our kids. It's something that we don't have to spend money on. In the wintertime or in the fall, we can substitute that with shrimp. I'd say a quarter of my income comes from shrimp. I'm not a full-time shrimper. I also have a charter business. I run the charters through Chasing Tails. And shrimp, live shrimp, are a big part of bait around here, as one of the ladies before me was just saying. And this is ridiculous what we're trying to do. And, I can speak for about every family here. We have kids that rely on us to catch shrimp and provide for them. So I want y'all to take that in consideration with your decision about the shrimping ban, because it's ludicrous. This is not something that needs to be done. With all the restrictions that we're already bound to with the fish excluders, I think we can all see that the fish excluders, they work. The turtle excluders, they reduce the bycatch down to X amount, however much it is. We don't see the stingrays, we don't see the rays, we don't see the sea turtles, we don't see the manatees. We don't catch none of that in the net anymore. It's straight shrimp. And I think that a lot of people here in this room can attest to that. So I want y'all to take into consideration tonight, and also the kids that are going to be affected in the future. I think my little girl wants to go shrimping in the future, but she ain't going to be able to if we shut this down. And without improper data on the shrimp that are actually there, you can't really just close anything down. I mean, look at our flounder. That was a third of my income every year, and we shut it down to I made $4,000 this year in flounder. We don't need that to happen to shrimp. I need a shrimp. Everybody else in this room needs a shrimp. It is what it is. I appreciate y'all letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wants to make a comment? You have somebody online who wants to speak. Okay, if there is not any further comment that hasn't been made, thank everybody for your comments. And we will call this public comment session to a close and see you all tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.